This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. Today's video is going to be on this Husqvarna 125B leaf blower. Could be relevant to pretty much any two-cycle for any engine for that matter. But what this thing is doing is, when I got it, number one, the customer wanted me to put it back together. When I put it back together, the primer bulb wasn't priming, and I found out that the screen in the carburetor was blocked. Cleaned that screen, it ran great. I was out here blowing my driveway and such with it, and then all of a sudden I let off the throttle, and that thing just died, just like you just flipped a switch. That's where I'm going to get to on this video. We're going to test an ignition coil and how I found it to be a faulty ignition coil on this machine. What's happening is it starts, runs, you can blow for a little while, and then all of a sudden, like I said, it just dies. You let it sit for a couple minutes, it'll crank back up, run briefly, die. It will not immediately restart though. You always have to let it cool down for a couple of minutes. So, by using just a spark tester, I determined why it was not the spark plug and why it is the ignition coil. In this video, I'm going to show you how to diagnose that, and we're also on this blower going to go ahead and change it out for the customer. So let's get started. So I've turned the lights off in the garage. Hopefully you can see this better. I have a spark tester. These things are less than 10 bucks. You can go to your favorite tool store and find them. What I do is I just put it in line with the spark plug here, and it'll run with this on it. That's no big deal. Reason why I don't think it's the ignition or the kill switch is because of the consistency as to when it stops running. If it was a kill switch, it would be trying to die on us all the time. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to prime it up. We got about 8 to 10 primes here, and it's going to take a second for it to start. We're not going to go through the whole duration here, but we'll choke it, pull it. You can see the spark is right there, right? So it has started. I pulled it back. And hopefully you can see it has a nice strong spark. Now let me get it warmed up and we'll come back and I'll show you what it's doing after that. And we're back after a couple minutes of running. So take a look at this now. Alright, so it's running, right? Did you see that? I don't know how well you can see that. Now it's running, watch it. Just died. Like no spark immediately. So and you can see it's intermittent now, so sometimes it'll do it, sometimes it won't. Everything's been connected. Like I said, I ran it for about a good 2 or 3 minutes. It's trying. You pull it once and then it just quits. Again, if you let it sit here for a few seconds, you'll see it light back up. It'll run. As soon as I try and give it something, just dies, just like you flipped a switch on it. So that's why we're putting a coil on it, and that's also why it's not a spark plug, because if it was a spark plug issue, it would be a grounding issue to the head of the blower, and there's no reason why the ground of the spark plug should be being compromised. I'll double check and make 100% sure that it's not the spark plug really quick, but like I said, I'm almost certain it needs an ignition coil, because if it had a bad spark plug, this would still be sparking. because it is in between the spark plug and the lead wire there. And the plug is grounded to the frame unless it has completely shorted internally. And so just to double check, triple check, here's the old plug. It's a weird Chinese plug though that's got like weird writing and stuff on it, and it's red. So gave me a little pause, but you can see it should die here very shortly. Well, it did just die on me. There you go. So that took a second because I had it off. But you can see, it's like sometimes it'll run for a minute, sometimes it'll run for like 5 seconds. So that's the thing there. So coil's on the way, we'll put it on next. So now that we've identified the problem, let's fix it. Your blower may be a little bit different, but I'll show you the premise on this 125B. You can skip ahead if you're just looking for the general replacement of the ignition coil. It's going to be about the same as what we've got going on here. This is going to take a T25 or 27. It's going to take a T25. We take off these 4 star bits. If you use an impact, use a very low power one, like a 12 volt. That way we're not stripping stuff, because you know your fine threads into aluminum and plastic are not the friendliest. So we've got that taken care of. Next, we have 3 more to get off here. I'm going to switch my ends. And these are going to be these little hex bits here. And we're going to have, looks like it's going to be a 1/4 hex bit. 5/32 works too, probably a metric. Either way, we'll get this on here, take these 3 off. Now this is a little bit of a sandwich situation on this blower. Don't lose your hardware. But, so we've got all that off. It should just be able to pop right off. But you've also got this cover right here that kind of insets where the muffler is, that you have to wedge back in there. And you'll feel it when it fits right. And then what that does is it actually reveals everything here. So what we've got down here is the ignition coil, and we'll get that off in a second. So now we're at the point of taking the coil off. Looks like you got a coil wire here. It's a little bit different because this one actually screws in to the, or grounds right here, whereas this one is going to actually ground inside the ignition coil. So we are going to have to swap out the wire, but that's not an issue. What we can test though is the ohms and the resistance of this. So we'll turn it on. Let's show you the resistance of this. This one right here in particular looks like it's about 2.2 ohms, and this one is probably going to show the same because, let's see, like I said, it's probably going to show about the same. I'm not getting a good contact, so stand by. And then probably because it breaks down over the course of getting hot. But we're not going to go through that right now. It's actually not giving me anything now, so I wonder if it's something with the wire. I wanted to show y'all, but it's not giving me a good reading here. Regardless, we're going to take this off. There you go. So a little sporadic, 2.7, so a little bit higher. Still within range though. You're looking for around 2 to 3 there. This should be T25s as well, I think. It is. We'll take it off. And see what we need to do here. So that's that. Oh, that's a ground wire. So we have the main wire here. Might see about replacing that as well. Well, where is it tied in? It's tied into each other. So what I'll do, I'll keep the wire on. We'll put this new ignition coil on. Ideally, what you want to try and do is gap it out to, we'll get that fixed too. Gap it out to about 10 thousandths for a business card. And I put it on the wrong way. It's going to go like that. We're going to try and gap it out here, which can be a little tricky, but see if we can do it. Like I said, a good rule of thumb is a business card. A lot of times I'll eyeball it just because I've done quite a few of these before. I'm going to get the threads started in here on this. Alright, so we'll get the thread started really gently. You don't want to cross thread anything here. So like I said, we'll put this on and gap it out, and we'll be ready to go here in just a second. So I've put it on. One thing that I didn't show you in the last clip is you need to put this ground wire back on. Gap wise here, that's about what you're looking for. This is a little bit off just in terms of angle, but right there on the narrowest point is about a business card width. So now what we've got to do is put it all back together. So y'all saw I lost a throttle cable in the mix here. We're going to set this. Actually, I'm going to plug it in going this way, hopefully. I know what I need to do. I need to make this wire so that it's... There we go. A little bit of tension. Less tension on that. Pop it right there. That's going to go into its slot right there. And make sure that there wasn't any like grounding issues going on right there between the head and the wire. I don't see any. So throttle cable, it's going to go back on. Which way is it going to go? It's going to go like this. Just like so. Boom, boom. Now, putting everything back on is a little tricky, mostly because you've got to get everything through certain areas. And this, like I said, wedges underneath the muffler here. And it's going to go like that. And so I'll get all this situated here real quick and get back with y'all once I get it all wedged together, and we'll try it out. Since y'all saw the original process, like I said, we're just be doing the reverse process here to get it back on. And then we'll put it all together and be done with it. So I'm going to work on this and be right back. So I've got everything back together now. It is a little bit of a fine dance of pushing the throttle in to push this top portion back on, and then for the side here you just kind of have to, I don't even know if I still got it right. I don't think I've got it right. I'll have to fix it a little bit, but you gotta finesse it in order to get it right. There we go. I think I got it locked in now. Sorry guys, it's just like a puzzle piece. It's hard to put together. So let me prime it I got plenty of fuel mix in it. Let me prime it about a dozen times. See if we can get it to fire. And choke it. That's a good sign. Already running better because it was just struggling before. I think I got to adjust the carb a little bit, but I'm going to run it, see if we can get it right. And we'll give it a good run, 15-20 minutes or so. See if she's still running after that. So I ended up blowing off the whole driveway with it. I did tune the carburetor a little bit. And probably, how long did we run it for? Maybe almost a half hour, I would suppose. And it ran great. You can see it's idling just fine. No hiccups at all. So that's great. So that coil fixed it, guys. And so we'll wrap this video up. So that's everything on this blower, but really in terms of any blower, that's how you can diagnose and test if you have a bad ignition coil. A lot of people mistake a bad ignition coil for fuel issues when that's not the case. Characteristics of a bad coil are classic, like this one had. It'll start, run fine for a few minutes, and then once the blower gets nice and hot, it'll cut off, and then it'll have trouble restarting. A lot of people think that it's like a vapor lock or fuel delivery issue. Most of the time it's not. So that's how you can diagnose, change the coil out on this Husqvarna 125B blower, and pretty much diagnose bad ignition coils on anything. So thank y'all again for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something, found it helpful, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Take care.